The night was quiet in many small homes across the city. Not quiet like empty, quiet like something waiting. In one small bedroom, a young girl sat on the edge of her bed. The light was low. Old posters covered the wall. A small notebook rested on her knees. She did not speak much during the day, but at night, her thoughts became loud. She wrote words she could not say out loud. Words about feeling unseen. Words about wanting to be heard without shouting. At school, she stayed in the background. She did not raise her hand. When others laughed, she smiled late. Hustofithin. Some kids talked over her. Some forgot she was there at all. But when she was alone, she held a small instrument close to her chest. Her fingers moved gently, like they were afraid of waking someone. Music was the only place where she felt brave. Across town, another young performer stretched slowly on a cold floor. The room smelled like wood and dust. The lights flickered softly above her. Her body bent in ways most people could not understand. Sometimes it hurt. Sometimes she cried quietly when no one was watching. People told her it was strange. They asked why she did not do something normal. But when she moved, she felt strong in a way words could not explain. In another house, a child practiced jokes in front of a mirror. The jokes were silly. Some failed. Some made the child laugh alone. There was no big stage here. Just a small room, a bright smile, and a belief that laughter could make the world feel lighter. Different homes, different dreams, but the same feeling. Fear. Each of them had heard the same questions again and again. You are too young. Are you sure? What if you fail? What if people laugh? Those words stayed longer than they should have. Then came the chance. A stage. Bright lights, rows of seats, a place where dreams were tested, not whispered. The day arrived slowly, like time itself was nervous. The building was huge. Glass doors reflected shaky faces. Parents held hands tightly. Some kids bounced with energy. Others went quiet. The air felt heavy with hope and doubt mixed together. Backstage felt different. Footsteps echoed. Voices overlapped. A countdown played on screens. The floor was cold under thin shoes. The walls were plain, but the feeling inside the room was anything but plain. The quiet girl sat on a chair, shoulders slightly forward. She held her instrument like it was part of her body. Her eyes moved around the room, watching others warm up. She wondered if she belonged here. Her heart beat fast. She thought about school hallways. She thought about being ignored. She thought about the nights she almost gave up. Her hands shook. Nearby, the flexible performer wrapped her hands with care. She had practiced this moment many times in her mind. Still, her stomach tightened. What if she slipped? What if people did not understand her art? She took a deep breath, the same way she always did before starting. The child with jokes paced back and forth, talking to anyone nearby. The words came easily, but the fear stayed hidden inside. Humor was a shield, but even shields can feel heavy. A voice came from behind the curtain. 5 minutes. 5 minutes felt like forever. Parents whispered encouragement. Some kids nodded. Some stared at the floor. Bright stage lights leaked through the curtain. The audience could be heard now. Talking. Laughing. Waiting. The judges sat in their chairs, calm and unreadable. From backstage, they looked larger than life. Their tables shined under the lights. Their faces showed years of praise and rejection. The quiet girl closed her eyes. She remembered writing her song alone. No audience, no claps, just feelings turned into sound. The song was not about being perfect. It was about being real, about feeling lost and wanting to be found. She wondered if anyone would care. The flexible performer stretched one last time. Her muscles burned slightly. She welcomed the feeling. Pain meant effort. Effort meant she was still trying. The child with jokes peeked through the curtain and smiled. The audience looked friendly. Or maybe just curious. Either way, there was no turning back. The host's voice echoed. Next up, a name was called. Not important here. What mattered was the moment. The quiet girl stood. Her legs felt weak, but she walked anyway. Each step felt slow. The stage swallowed her as she stepped into the light. From the audience, she looked small. From inside, the stage felt endless. The judges asked simple questions. Age, what she would do. Her answers were soft but honest. She said the song was her own, about herself, about people like her. Some eyebrows lifted. An original song, from someone so young. The room grew still. She took a breath. 10, another. Her fingers touched. The first sound floated out, fragile but clear. Her voice followed. It was not loud. It did not try to be. It was real. Backstage, the flexible performer watched on a small screen. She stopped stretching. Something about the voice made her listen closely. The child with jokes stopped talking. Even the parents grew quiet. The song spoke of feeling invisible, of changing yourself to fit in, of being tired of pretending everything was fine. It did not ask for attention. It told the truth. Some people leaned forward. Others blinked slowly, like they were remembering something important. The song ended. There was pause. Then applause rose, soft at first, 10 stronger. Backstage, hearts beat faster. The flexible performer was called next. She walked onto the stage calmly, though her chest felt tight. She set up her equipment carefully. The room watched with curiosity. She began slowly. Her body moved with control and grace. Each motion showed discipline and trust. The audience gasped quietly. Some smiled in awe. Her focus never broke. The child with jokes watched, mouth slightly open. This was courage, just in a different form. The act ended. Applause filled the room again. Backstage, the child with jokes took a deep breath. Laughter felt far away. But the dream was still alive. Each performance added weight to the air, not pressure. Meaning, these were not just acts. They were pieces of lives. When the child with jokes stepped on stage, the energy shifted. Words came fast. Jokes landed. Laughter burst out. The room felt lighter. Even the judges smiled. But behind the laughter was something deeper. A child choosing joy, choosing to stand tall instead of small. As the night moved on, one thing became clear. These kids were not here to prove they were perfect. They were here to prove they were brave. Backstage, the quiet girl sat again, her hands finally still. Her heart slowed. She did not know what would happen next. But for the first time, she felt shone. The flexible performer wrapped herself in a jacket, smiling softly, whatever came next. She had shown her truth. The child with jokes laughed with strangers who felt like friends. The stage lights dimmed. The audience buzzed with emotion. The judges whispered. Decisions were coming. Dreams hung in thebulons. And somewhere between fear and hope, every child waited, knowing one thing for sure: this was only the beginning. Backstage, the room felt different. Not louder, not quieter, just fuller. A nervous energy filled the air as children waited. Some sat on the floor, tracing patterns on the tiles. Others leaned against the wall, lost in thought. A few held hands with parents, whose tired eyes held a universe of hope. Time seemed to slow down, as if it was holding its breath, deciding what to do next. The quiet girl, the one who sang her truth, stared at the floor. The tile pattern was familiar now, a strange comfort in the chaos. She replayed a song in her head, every word, every pause. A familiar doubt crept in. Should she have sung louder? Smiler? More? Change some small detail that might have made a big difference. But then she stopped herself. She had sung her truth. That had to be enough. The flexible performer rolled her shoulders, trying to release the tension. Her body felt heavy, but calm. She had done what she came to do. Her movements were clean, her focus unbroken. Still, a quiet worry nagged at her. What if people only saw how strange it looked? What if they missed the years of work, the dedication behind the art? Nearby, the child who loved jokes sat perfectly still for once. The constant stream of laughter was gone, replaced by the heavy silence of waiting. Making people laugh was easy compared to this. This required patience. This required faith. Then, the host's voice echoed through the speakers, pulling everyone back to the present. It was time for the results. One by one, the children were called back onto the stage. The lights felt warmer now, more intense. The audience watched, their faces a mixture of hope and nervous anticipation. The judges spoke slowly, their words chosen with care. They talked about courage, about the raw honesty of sharing a piece of yourself with the world. They talked about the effort it takes to stand alone on a stage and say, "This is me." The quiet girl listened, her heart pounding in her ears. When the decision came, she barely heard the words at first. The world seemed to go silent, and then an explosion of applause broke the spell. A hand gently touched her shoulder. She looked up, her eyes wide. She had made it through. A breath she didn't know she was holding escaped her chest. A smile bloomed on her face. Not a big one, but a real one. The kind that happens when something deep inside finally lets go. Walking off stage felt like a dream. Backstage, the walls didn't seem so close anymore. The space felt brighter. Her parent hugged her tightly. No words needed. The hug said everything. Across the stage, the flexible performer heard her result next. The judges praised her incredible strength and control, admitting they had never seen anything like it before. When the final yes came, she nodded slowly, a wave of disbelief and relief washing over her. She had made it through, too. She closed her eyes for a brief moment, thinking of all those hours training alone, battling doubt, pushing through pain. It had all led to this. Not to fame, not yet, but to recognition. To being seen, the child with the jokes was the last one. The audience was already smiling, remembering the joy he had brought them. When the result came, a wave of laughter and applause erupted together. Another yes. The child jumped with pure, unadulterated joy, not because of winning, but because people believed in him. Because his gift had connected. But the night didn't end there. It was just the beginning. Weeks passed. The practice rooms changed. The rehearsals grew longer, and the pressure mounted. The buzz of social media felt like a distant storm. But inside those rooms, it was still just kids and their dreams. The quiet girl wrote new songs in anonymous hotel rooms. Some nights, she felt an unshakable strength. Other nights, she cried softly into her pillow. Being seen was wonderful, but it was also terrifying. People expected more now. In those moments of doubt, she reminded herself why she started. Not to impress, but to express. The next time she stepped on stage, her voice shook for a second, then settled, finding its strength. The audience listened intently. Some even began to hum along 2 words they had never heard before. The judges leaned forward, captivated. The girl stood taller. She hadn't changed who she was. She had simply allowed herself to be more of it. The flexible performer learned to train smarter. Her body needed rest now more than ever, and she learned to listen to it, to respect its limits. Her performances became even smoother. Each movement a quiet, beautiful conversation between strength and balance. When she stepped onto the stage again, the lights seemed to follow her like old friends. The audience held its breath. When she finished, the room erupted, not because her performance was shocking, but because it was breathtakingly beautiful. The child with the jokes refined his act. He learned that timing was everything. So was kindness. His jokes became sharper, but his heart stayed soft. Laughter filled every room he entered, a testament to his growing craft. As the competition progressed, some dreams were paused. Others continued. That's the nature of these journeys. Not everyone can reach the final stage, but every single person grows along the way. The quiet girl found herself in a moment she had never dared to imagine. Standing alone on the biggest stage yet, a universe of lights above, a sea of silent faces before her. In that silence, she remembered her bedroom, her notebook, and all the nights she felt invisible. Then, she sang, not for the judges, not for the crowd. She sang for the younger version of herself who desperately needed to hear that her voice mattered. When the song ended, Applause rose slowly at first, then swelled into a powerful wave. She could see tears on faces in the crowd. She smiled through her own. Win or lose, something inside her had already been transformed forever. The flexible performer reached her own turning point a few weeks later. A performance that felt utterly complete. No fear, no rush, just pure presence. When she finished, she bowed deeply, a profound sense of pride filling her. That feeling stayed with her, a prize more valuable than any trophy. And the child with the jokes learned something important, too. He learned that making people laugh was powerful, but making them feel seen, making them feel connected, was even stronger. The competition eventually reached its grand finale. One last moment. One last decision. Cheers echoed, confetti rained down, and a winner was named. But the real ending, the true story, was much quieter. Back home, the quiet girl returned to school. Some kids recognized her from TV, some didn't. And that was okay. She walked through the halls differently now. Her shoulders were back, her eyes were forward, and every night, her music was still there waiting for her. The flexible performer started teaching younger kids how to stretch safely. She shared her story, not to impress them, but to encourage them to follow their own unique paths. The child with jokes told stories at family gatherings, and the sound of laughter followed him, along with a new, quiet confidence. None of them became perfect. None of them became completely fearless, but all of them became braver. And that, in the end, was the real prize. Because sometimes, the biggest stage isn't the one with the bright lights and the judges. Sometimes, it's the quiet moment you finally look in the mirror and believe that you are enough. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more. See you next time.